I never thought working at Costco would mess me up this bad. Been needing to get this out for weeks now. The weight of knowing something's wrong while everyone else moves through life normally. It's suffocating. I took this overnight stocking job 2 months back. $17.50 an hour, plus it worked perfectly with my class schedule. The warehouse transforms after closing. Impossible vastness stretching into shadows. Fluorescent lights humming overhead like some alien language. You don't realize how massive these places truly are until you're alone in them. First couple weeks were unremarkable. Stocking shelves, rotating inventory. My team lead Mark would sneak us soon-to-expire bakery items on break. I'd always saved the chocolate-frosted donut for last. Funny how you miss simple things when everything else slides sideways. Around week 3, I noticed inconsistencies. I'd stock an entire cereal aisle, leave to get more inventory, return to find every box slightly rotated, not knocked over, just turned, like someone had deliberately touched each one. Blamed Derek initially, but he swore he'd been working freezers all night. His eyes held genuine confusion when I questioned him. Then came the cameras. The security camera in aisle 38, electronics section, would flicker precisely at 2:17 a.m. every single night, not a minute earlier or later. I timed it obsessively on my phone. Co-workers dismissed my concerns. Power surge, they'd say. You're sleep deprived. Night shifts do strange things to perception. Once I put milk in my cereal cabinet at home. My roommate found it the next day, completely spoiled. The freezer incident happened a month in. I was wheeling frozen pizza into the walk-in when I noticed small handprints on the inside of the door, child-sized. I blinked, and they vanished. Stood there shivering for minutes, questioning my sanity. The security footage showed nothing when Mark reluctantly reviewed it with me. That's when Rick from IT casually mentioned the building's history. Used to be a children's hospital back in the 80s. Bad fire. Lots of kids didn't make it out. I began documenting everything methodically. Cold spots throughout the store, not near freezers but random locations where my breath would suddenly fog. Phantom footsteps that sounded like sock-covered feet, always just beyond sight. Objects falling from shelves with no apparent cause. Nobody believed me until Jerry disappeared. Our overnight manager of 15 years vanished during shift. 3 hours of frantic searching later, he emerged from behind a lawn furniture display. His face was colorless, clothes immaculate, but his eyes weren't right anymore. He refused to speak about where he'd been. The next morning, he resigned without explanation. Nobody's heard from him since. Corporate investigators concluded he'd suffered a psychological break from excessive night shifts. They installed additional lighting, hired more overnight staff, but nothing changed. The cameras still flicker at 2:17. I still hear those soft footsteps. And now, sometimes when I reach into shadowed spaces, tiny cold fingers try to grasp mine. I submitted my 2 weeks' notice yesterday. Some things aren't worth $17.50 an hour. Some knowledge you can't unlearn. I never thought working at the Costco food court would give me nightmares, but after what happened during that big snowstorm last winter, I still can't sleep right some nights. It was supposed to be a normal shift, you know? But then the snow started coming down hard around 4 p.m. Like, really hard. The kind where you can barely see the parking lot from inside the store. By 6 p.m., the roads were completely blocked and management told us nobody was going anywhere. About 40 customers and 15 employees got stuck overnight in the store. The manager, this guy named Dave who always wears the same blue tie, decided to keep some parts of the store running so people wouldn't freak out. That included our food court, where I worked. Things were actually kind of fun at first. People were making the best of it, grabbing sleeping bags from the camping section, playing cards. My co-worker Jen even found some board games to pass time. I remember thinking it was like a weird slumber party. Around midnight, when most people were trying to sleep in the furniture section, this middle-aged woman came up to my counter. She had on this green jacket that was still wet from the snow. Something about her just seemed wrong. The way she moved was all stiff, like her joints weren't working right. And her eyes, they weren't looking at me. more like through me. "Hot dog, please," she said, but her voice was flat, emotionless. I made her hot dog, handed it over, and she just stood there, staring at nothing. The hot dog dripped ketchup onto her hand, but she didn't even notice. Do you need anything else?" I asked her. She slowly turned her head toward me, and I swear, the way her neck moved wasn't normal, like it turned too far or something. Then she just walked away without a word, the hot dog still untouched, in her hand. I told myself she was probably just tired or stressed from being stranded. But then about 20 minutes later, another person came up. This older guy with a beard, and he acted exactly the same way. Ordered food, barely responded when I talked to him, then wandered off. Over the next hour, 2 more people did the same thing. A woman in her 30s with a red scarf and a teenage boy wearing headphones. All of them had this same blank look, same stiff movements. And I noticed they all came from the same direction, from the bathroom in the back corner of the warehouse. I mentioned it to my supervisor, Carlos, but he just laughed and said, "People get weird when they're tired, man. Don't worry about it." But then around 1:30 a.m., this little girl, maybe 8 or 9 years old, started screaming. Like full-on terrified screaming that echoed through the whole store. She was pointing at the woman in the green jacket, who was now just standing in the middle of the aisle, completely still, hot dog still in hand, staring at the ceiling. "Her eyes are all wrong. Her eyes are all wrong," the girl kept screaming. That's when everyone started taking it seriously. The security guy, this ex-military dude named Frank, went to check the bathroom where all these weird people had come from. He came back, looking really pale. "Something's wrong with the water," he said. "It smells like chemicals, and it's got this weird color to it." Turns out Costco used a private well for water, and this store was built near an old factory that closed down in the 90s. Later investigations showed that some nasty industrial waste had leaked into the groundwater. The EPA people who came said it had this neurotoxin thing that messed with people's brains, made them act weird, disconnected. 5 people ended up in the hospital. The store closed for 2 weeks while they fixed the water system. Costco made everyone sign these papers agreeing not to talk about what happened in exchange for money. They said it was just a one-time thing, that it was fixed now and totally safe. But I couldn't stay there anymore. I transferred to another Costco across town the next month. The thing that still keeps me up at night? Before anyone knew what was happening, I drank from the water fountain near that bathroom. Just a sip because my throat was dry after talking to customers all day. Sometimes I catch myself staring at nothing, or I forget what I was saying mid-sentence. And I wonder if that chemical is still inside me, slowly changing something in my brain. My girlfriend says I'm being paranoid, but she wasn't there. She didn't see those empty eyes. About 2 years ago, I worked a night shift at Costco, checking inventory. One summer night, I noticed the meat department numbers were slightly off. 2 steak packages here, a few pounds of ground beef there, always after the 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. shift, and always when Marcus, the new security guy, was on duty. My apartment's broken AC kept me awake, so I dug deeper, despite my roommate teasing me for being stubborn. I reviewed security footage and found 10 15-minute-long blackouts during Marcus's shifts. When I told my manager Lisa, her bright pink lipstick made her look older, but she only said, "We budget for shrinkage." Unconvinced, I volunteered for the night shift, citing extra hours to fix my Toyota's annoying clicking sound. At around 2 a.m., I hid behind pallets of toilet paper near the loading dock. The store was eerily quiet, and the freezers hummed softly. My shoes squeaked on the pavement, my heart pounded, and my sandwich in my pocket felt useless. I watched Marcus unlock the back door, wave in 3 gaunt, rough-looking people with blue coolers, then guide them to the meat section. They filled coolers, while an older, bearded man handed Marcus a small envelope. I followed them outside, counting silently to 30 before sneaking into an abandoned warehouse district. Between 2 buildings lay a makeshift camp of 20 homeless people in tents and tarps. I used to volunteer at the old 8th Street shelter on Thanksgiving, so I recognized several faces. The bearded man opened a cooler. A woman knelt. A little girl clutched ground beef and cried quietly. I felt both horror and awe. The next morning, I discovered the envelope held prescription medicine samples. My cousin at the hospital identified the bearded man as a former pharmacy tech who lost his home and job. I confronted Marcus. He broke down, explaining he couldn't bear to waste food while people starved. We agreed I'd adjust inventory numbers, and he'd feed the camp. For 2 months it worked until corporate audited, spotted the pattern, and fired Marcus, forcing him to sign a non-disclosure. They installed fingerprint doors, added cameras, locked dumpsters, and poured bleach on discarded food. 3 weeks later, I stayed late and saw our regional manager, Mr. Peterson, meeting a suited man at the loading dock, trading premium steaks and seafood, hidden by blanked-out cameras. Disgusted, I quit the next day. Now I drive by Costco, remembering Marcus, now at a food bank, and the vanished camp. The real horror is how easily cameras fail when the powerful profit from waste.